Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. Today's lesson will be about three arguments of the minority view. While I am doing that, I'm going to also go over the consensus response after every three arguments that I mentioned. All right, starting off with the minority view on ClimateGate. The minority view argues that ClimateGate controversy reveals misconduct within the climate science community, specifically concerning the manipulation of the data. In 2009, emails from the University of East Anglia's Climatic Research Unit were so-called accidentally leaked. These emails involved discussions that appeared to suggest efforts to manipulate or hide data that didn't support the consensus on climate change. Those who hold this view believe this controversy shows that the scientific consensus may not be based on impartial data, but instead is skewed by political motives and a desire to protect funding or reputations. Now, how would the consensus respond? The consensus view generally argues that the ClimateGate scandal has been thoroughly debunked. In other words, they believe it was taken out of context. Multiple investigations, including those by independent panels, found no evidence of data manipulation or scientific misconduct. The leaked emails were often taken out of context and do not undermine the evidence of climate change. The focus remains on the overwhelming evidence that directs to human-caused climate change, irrespective or of individual controversies. Yeah. Moving on to the third argument, the hockey stick graph. The minority view. The hockey stick graph made by Michael Main is viewed skeptically by the minority. And let me explain why. The minority argues that the graph, which shows a sharp rise in global temperature in recent centuries, is a product of data manipulation and as well as selective use of datasets. The methodology behind this graph is seen as flawed, relying on heavy algorithms that favor specific types of data, effectively cherry-picking information to fit the consensus narrative. Now, the consensus would say that they do acknowledge that no scientific method is perfect, but asserts that the hockey stick graph has been replicated by multiple independent researchers across various fields. While the graph has been a focal point for critics, it is only one piece of a much larger body of evidence supporting anthropogenic climate change. Even if there's a minor discrepancies in specific data sets, the overall conclusions about the climate change remain unchanged. Now, third argument, U.S. government indicators and heat wave definitions. The minority is critical of how the U.S. government and global organizations define and measure climate phenomena, such as heat waves. For example, the World Meteorologic Organization defines a heat wave as 5 consecutive days where the daily maximum temperature exceeds the average maximum by at least 5 degrees Celsius, which is 9 degrees Fahrenheit. The minority argues that such definitions can be misleading or oversimplified, focusing on extreme cases rather than providing a more nuanced understanding of climate variability. They also suggest that the definitions are politically motivated and designed to reinforce the consensus view of a climate crisis. The consensus response. The consensus would argue that standardized definitions such as those provided by the World Meteorologic Organization are essential for consistency in scientific research and communication. These definitions allow for accurate tracking and comparison of climate data across regions and time periods. While some may argue that the thresholds for defining heat waves or other phenomena are arbitrary, the consensus believes that they are based on decades of climatological research and are necessary to monitor trends effectively. Moreover, these indicators are just one part of a broader understanding of climate change, which includes a wide range of measurements and models. Far from being politically motivated, the consensus sees these indicators as necessary tools for conveying the urgency of climate issues. To summarize it all, the minority view raises doubts about the integrity of climate science by pointing to specific controversies like ClimateGate, the hockey stick graph, and the definitions of climate phenomena, the three arguments that we discussed. However, the consensus view defends the robustness of climate science as a whole, emphasizing the overwhelming body of evidence that supports human-caused climate change and the integrity of scientific processes.